Delighted to be live in the downtown den, and join us this afternoon is Councillor Keith Iddon. Councillor Keith Iddon is the Deputy Leader of Lancashire County Council. He's also the Cabinet Member for Highways and Transportation. Great to see you today, Keith.
And it's great to be here. I've heard a lot about this downtown interview that you do, and I've never been asked before, so I'm thrilled that I've been asked. It's my claim to fame at the minute, being on your programme.
Well, let's hope we don't disappoint you, Keith.
I'm sure you won't.
Before we get into the conversation about the politics and obviously the economic situation in Lancashire at the moment and what the county is doing to support business, I just wanted to give the audience today a flavour, really, of your background and how you've ended up in this job.
Okay, I never was a politician. Obviously, I'm born and bred in Lancashire. I was born in Preston. I race racing pigeons, and I've done since I was 7 years old. I've always been involved with that. You get more know Lancashire than having a flat cap and racing pigeons. I was involved in the road transport industry for a long, long while. I decided doing that I could then venture out into manufacturing things, and I got in all sorts of businesses manufacturing things. And my dad always said to me, the other man's grass will look always greener, but always take your lawnmower with you because the grass will need cutting. And I can tell you from experience, I thought that manufacturing would be far easier than transporting things, but it wasn't. It had the same pitfalls. But at the end of the day, you do what you do. And by accident, I got into politics by somebody asking me and said, we would like you to become a councillor for the area, borough councillor. Unfortunately, at that time, I couldn't do it. I was far too committed with the things I was doing. And he was a really nice guy that asked me. And a year later, I met up with him. And just to sort of make him feel better, because he was a bit deflated when I turned him down, he said, I've got, I said, I'm very sorry I couldn't help you at that time. And in hindsight, I could probably have fitted it in. All he said, that's great. He said, I have a far better job for you now. We're looking for a county councillor. And I lost by 7 votes. Now, if it had been 707,000, I could have swallowed that, but 7 I didn't. And so that's why I'm here today. So that's the story. I just couldn't lose by 7 votes. I had to plough on with it. And as I got into it, I enjoyed it. The language was totally different for me. When I got there, I didn't understand. I kept wondering about this LEP, why the Lancashire Evening Post were involved with things, but it was the Lancashire Enterprise Partnership. So I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that's where I come from. And I used to stick my hand up many times and say, look, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. And people would say, I'm glad you asked that, because I didn't either. So I always get the answer in the end. But it's sort of progressed on. I never ever thought I'd be on a cabinet. I never thought I'd be Deputy Leader of Lancashire County Council. The group voted me into that. And like I've said before, I'm Jeff Driver's apprentice for good and bad. I'm the oldest apprentice he's ever had. He says I'm probably not the brightest, but he's making headway with me. That's what he says. So there we are. So that's my little story in a nutshell. But you'll get more know Lancashire than me. You can tell by my accent.
And when were you elected, Keith? When were you first elected?
I was first elected to a borough council in 2008 because they had thirds at Cllr. I lost in 2005, sorry, about that time I lost. And then the borough elections came on. And I got my seat there a year later, and then I moved on from there. And I became chair of licensing there at Cllr, which I enjoyed doing. It's something I did enjoy doing, and it's something I had interest in. And then I got elected to the county council in 2009 when we took the administration for the first time. Then we went into opposition, and then we're back here again. So that's it.
Yeah. So during that period of time, Keith, obviously there've been challenges in terms
of
local.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of us would have anticipated what we've seen over the past 3 months. And we'll talk about, the response to the COVID crisis a little conversation. But of course, the thing that's been going on probably since the time that you were elected to the county council, there's been a debate and a discussion about the devolution deal for Lancashire. Now, people on this call, people who know me well, will be very well aware of where I stand on this. I think that we've got to have a place at the top table of that powerhouse, because Lancashire is, in my opinion, one of the key players in terms of driving the northern economy.
Okay.
Last night, Jeff was on the telly talking about a proposal, an idea that the County Council have come up with, I think, to move the discussion on, from what I can tell. So tell us a bit about that.
Okay, and I'll be very open about this. I have been involved with talks, and I've been involved with meetings and webinars with ministers, and I've listened very carefully. Obviously, Jeff does cut me up to speed, and you know, the one thing I will take from this, at 7 o'clock every evening, he rings me up and we spend an hour and a half debating what's gone on and bouncing everything around with each other. And if anybody asks me, what do you remember from the epidemic, and when it's all over, I'm sure it will be, and we get back to some sort of normality, it will be my phone call every evening from the leader of Lancashire County Council. But to get to your point, obviously this has been going on a while. I have been involved with it, and like I said before, I'm Lancashire through and through. I want the best for Lancashire. We're probably the third biggest county, and we're really missing out. And I've seen this for a long, long time. Liverpool and Manchester are doing very, very well and taking billions of pounds that we should have, because obviously we are not a combined authority. And it has picked up pace within the last 6 months. Only because obviously the Prime Minister likes that model. He likes the elected mayor. He likes unitary councils. And it's been put to us, we need to put a proposal in, and we need to get this proposal in by October, I think, the 15th, and we need to get by September the 7th a business case, and we've got to put that forward. Now, the model there we're looking at were unitaries, and this is governed, you know, people say, well, why 3 unitaries? Because the government have been very clear, and obviously that we can only have 3 directors of education. You can't have any more than 3. So you can have a whole unitary with 1, you can have 2 unitaries with 2, but we think the 3 model fits Lancashire a lot better. Obviously, Blackburn and Darwin are a unitary at the minute, and they're working with us. And so we've put this model forward of 3 unitaries. We've tried to be as fair as we can population-wise. It's around about 500,000 that are in each one. And that will be overarched by the mayor and his chief executive and their team. And then they will be accountable to the government, which is what the government want. They want one person to be accountable. And Lancashire, if they get the right person there sat at the top table as the mayor, will get the things that we need to get devolved down to us, that we need the money, we need to be able to look after our own destiny, we need to be able to look after our own education, we need to be able to look after our own road structure and how we invest the money. And I understand why the government want to do it, because it's like a company with branches. And you know, if you look at the figures, we've sort of, the county council has 84 members turning over £834 million. And we've got 12 districts with 564 members turning over £160 million. And people said to me, no, you've got that wrong, Keith. No, I've not got it wrong. Those are the figures. So, you know, the 2-tier government system is going, and as it's proved in Manchester and Liverpool. And that's my aim, because we need in Lancashire to get the investment, and we need to go forward. And we're not going to go forward if we don't do this. The other driver to this is that if we don't do anything at this time, we will have to wait till after the next general election before we can visit it again. They've been very clear on that. So what will happen, and you've seen it in the press, and it's what's been put to me, that if we get this business case in, and we have been talking about this for a long, long time, this is not just a rush to do something. This has been going on for quite a long while. And you either like unitary authorities or you don't, but it's the model the government prefer. And they're the people with the paycheck. They're the people that are saying, this is what we want you to do. This is how we want it doing. And we won't have any elections in May next year. And in 2022, we'll carry on with the proposal if it's accepted. Now, there's a lot of water to go under the bridge, but September will soon be here, and you could soon miss the boat. And I will be absolutely devastated if we miss that boat. And I'm determined that we're not going to miss the boat, and we're going to get this together. Now, I know a lot of district leaders, like their you know, they'd like to put a few of their districts together. And again, the government have been very clear. I'm sorry, you can't do that. You can't cherry pick out of it. It's all Lancashire or it's nothing. And there was an argument. Cumbria have put in a bid. Obviously, they're perhaps 500,000 people there. I think it's 506,000 people. And it's right and proper that they're just doing as Cumbria. And I accept what they're doing. And you'll see that it is picking up speed now because other county councils are doing exactly the same thing in different parts of the country. And obviously, we need to be in the queue. We need to be in the top quartile of this, and we need to get this business case in, and we need to get on with it. And I'm sure we will do. But there will be a lot of people that oppose it. A lot of people don't like unitaries. A lot of people will like it to stay as it is. But it can't stay as it is because the government is saying, no, I'm sorry, you can't stay as you are. If you want devolution, we've given you the guidelines here: an elected mayor, which you will need, and unitary councils. And it couldn't be any clearer to me. And it's not been a rush thing, no matter what anybody says. This has been going on a while, and I've been talking to Jeff and cabinet members about it for a long, long while. And this was first mentioned when I joined the county council. I didn't understand it then. I'm thinking, what is all this about? You know, you scratch your head and think, where are we going with this? You know, it's all right as it is, you know. But as I've got into this, I realised that Lancashire is getting left behind, and I won't have that. And if I'm here and I'm doing this job, if I was made leader, which you know, that is the plan for me, but that's up to the group. That's up to the group to decide, nobody else. Then yeah, I'm up for this, and Lancashire comes first with me, and I want whatever we can get for Lancashire, and I want the best deal we can do. I'm a businessman, and I can see it's the best way forward.
And that's been very clear, Keith, in terms of
the
way in which the debate has gone and the government's thinking around this, which I'm sure is useful for those listening today. And I think the other thing that you've spelt out very clearly there is that, listen, you've got to just basically ask your question: is the prize worth the price? And for me, you've made the case around Liverpool and Manchester receive additional resources, and it has to be said, at the expense of Lancashire, and that simply isn't good enough going forward, is it?
Every month and every year and every quarter, they get money split between Liverpool, Manchester and Sheffield, and that money should be coming to Lancashire. It is as simple as that, because they've taken the plunge, they've done it, and they're on the way with it. And Andy Burnham. I know Andy Burnham. I can talk to him. I've running meetings with Transport for the North with him, and obviously he does the best he can for Manchester, and Steve Rotherham does the best he can for Liverpool. And I know both these gentlemen, and I will do my best for Lancashire, and we're missing out. And you're quite right, and it's got to stop. And we've just got to, like you said, put politics to one side, get your business head on, and let's get going with this. They'll have the teething problems. There'll be a lot of things to consider as we go along the way, but we've got to get the ball rolling. And it just had to be announced. At the end of the day, we had a group meeting, and I'll be perfectly honest about this. We had the group meeting, and the group decided, yes, they would accept. There was 3 options. There was, one big unitary, 2 unitaries split in different parts up, and we picked the one that has gone forward, and that's into 3 unitaries. And I can go through, if you want, who's going to be in how we've put that together. So you've got a middle one, an eastern one, and a western one. And at the end of the day, that was fine. And then somebody decided they wanted to tell the press, so the press got to know, which obviously we were trying to do this in a business plan as we went along. And so it's only fair that everybody knows, because once the press gets wind of this, that's fine. And where it was leaked from, these things happen. You have a meeting with 30, 40 people, and obviously somewhere along the line, somebody says something wherever they go, in a pub or whatever, and the next thing, people are asking questions. And it was only right and proper that everybody was advised what we were doing. We would just like to get the case a little bit further along the way, but it makes no difference to me. It's on its way, and I'm glad the ball's rolling. I'm glad it's out there and people understand what we're doing.
Well, we look forward to those continued discussions, which, as you
Yeah,
said,
and they'll go on. And I hope people, and I hope some of the leaders can see that we've got to do this. Obviously, I've been to leaders' meetings. You know, not everybody's going to agree. Some of the leaders treat the county council, you know, we could do without the county council. We don't really need them. You know, I've heard that said. Other people have said, well, you know, the county can't run everything. But when you look at the figures, you know, when you look at the hundreds of millions of pounds that we handle, yeah, well, we are the head office and we do run things to a degree. And I'm sorry that's the way it is, but that's how this democracy works.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Keith, we'll move on to your specialist subject, if I can put it that way, which is the transport and highways group. Because again, when we've been looking at recovery plans, one of the big is around connectivity and infrastructure, and of course, transport and highways play a key part in that. So I mentioned in the blurb, sort of advertising, promoting this event, a £34 million shovel-ready scheme ask. But you were telling me it's a lot more ambitious than that, which is great to hear.
Obviously, the government came along to the LEP and they wanted they use that model to do it. We put some schemes to the LEP. The one there were different schemes for infrastructure, and the one that sort of interested me, the main scheme, was the link road on the M55. And obviously that's gone through, and we've met the requirements to do that. We've got obviously a local contribution to that. Everybody's come on board, Highways England, different people, and the LEP were there to put that together. We gave them the information, and I think we're about there with that. And there are other different schemes. But when you look at that is okay. That is sort of a set of schemes that were already there, and when we could afford to do them. They all come with timelines, and the timelines are very tight, but that one is deliverable. And, you know, my thanks go to my team that have worked really hard to get this all drawn up, to go through the negotiations. It's been going on a long, long time. But I suppose the bigger scheme is, you know, the government has said, okay, you know, we're in this position. It's cost us £100 million up to now because of this epidemic. And thankfully, we've had the money. We had the house in order when we got there. We put things back on the feet. The top management was changed, and it's changed below that. And we got the county council onto an even keel. And we've had the money to do this. The government have given us about 34 million, and there's another tranche of money to come, which will get us to about 50 million. But again, it's, you know, when you're looking at getting Lancashire going and you're looking at getting Lancashire on the map, the government said, well, put a case to us. Put what you want, And we've put a case together that supports businesses, it supports education, it supports the whole spectrum of Lancashire. And you might say this is a big, ambitious plan, and we put forward a plan with the officers and through Deloitte, who drew it up, to the government. This is our ask, and that's £10 billion. That's what we're asking the government for. Now, you might think, well, okay, that's ambitious. Councillor Iddon, Keith, whatever you want to call me. I like to be called Keith. That's a really ambitious thing to do. Well, yeah, I'm an ambitious man, and it's an ambitious council with an ambitious leader, and with some ambitious directors there. You know, our economic director, head of the whole thing, is very ambitious to do that, and he's been on your show, Stephen Young, and they've put this together. And I know it's a big ask, but let's aim high. We're talking about Lancashire, and we've been missing out for a long time. So let's get us on the map. And this is money to do infrastructure. It's to do, obviously, the economic things that we're doing in the business parks we're doing throughout Lancashire. It's to do with education. It's to do with young people. And we've made this ask to government. It's a terrific amount of money. If we don't get it all, at least they say, well, look, they're trying to go somewhere with this. If we get half of it, that's fine by me. But there's no use asking for a couple £100,000 when you need, and we can prove that we need, £10 billion to get the infrastructure of Lancashire going, because we've taken a big hit in Lancashire. You know, obviously, there's a lot of people been furloughed. There's a lot of people lost their jobs. We've had about 20,000 redundancies. there's a lot of young people looking for work, and that's another area that really upsets me. You know, I know what it's like to be a young person. I know what it's like to go to work on a Friday, run out of petrol a mile away on your motorbike from work, leave it, get your wages, get your mate to run you in a car and get a can of petrol, and then go home again at night. And it's a big thing to people, and people want to work and they want to get out there. And some people will go back, and very unfortunately, and there'll be no jobs for them because the jobs will be gone. And so we need as much as we can get. So that's the big ask, and it will support a lot of things. You know, when you look at Lancashire, we're a very diverse county. We have farming, we have the agricultural fields near to where I live at Escott Bank that produce, you know, billions of pounds worth of fruit and vegetables that go all over the world. We make the world's finest fighter aircraft, you know, and we brew the finest beer in the world, as far as I'm concerned. So in Lancashire, so, you know, it's a great place to be. So yeah, that was the ask. And, you know, that's fine. 32 million is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. That is a lot of money, and we're very thankful of it. But as a county council, we've got to aim higher than that. And the LEP do its part, and they've got this money in, but we're aiming a lot higher than that. And I'm pleased that we're doing it.
Yeah, listen, I congratulate you on the recovery plan that's been put together, and I think you're right to be ambitious. And of course, what we're also aware of is that there are certain sectors that have been hit. Tourism, hospitality, such an important part of Lancashire offer, and then of course aerospace. So we've taken, as I say, two big hits there, haven't we?
We've taken very big hits. The tourism was a big hit. Obviously, you know, Marketing Lancashire, we've just allocated £300,000 to them to do a big advert for Lancashire to say, come and visit Lancashire. And this is part of the ask of government. You know, we are a diverse county and we need money for tourism. So part of this £10 billion is saying, this is our plan, this is how we'd like to promote tourism in Lancashire. And obviously, if people don't know we're here, they won't come and visit, and it's a great place to be. A lot of people have said to me, just getting on this, you know, they've not been able to move very far from home, so they've toured around the local area, and they've gone to Preston. So it's absolutely beautiful, and we go abroad on holidays, you know, and within a 5-mile area of here, people have said it's great. And the number of people that have walked past and said, I didn't realise it's such a beautiful place, Maud, so we've had a walk around it. And you know, other people have come from other places. Now, no, you've got to be safe when you're doing this. This epidemic is far from over, but we need to promote that tourism. And when you get to British Aerospace, that is another big ask. Obviously, we've got the enterprise part there, which will be one of the finest in Europe. We're doing it with the universities, and we're building this technology enterprise zone there. And that is a big thing, and we're trying to retrain people. And we also have asked government for money to say, well, okay, this is aerospace. We've had a big hit now. The aircraft industry isn't what it was, but let's diversify into something else. And let's use some of this money to diversify somewhere else. Obviously, going back to getting people to Lancashire with Iddon for the North, we're investing millions of pounds into that. And that's a big government task. That is going ahead. And we just need to get these things off the ground. But, you know, we can't do it on our own. We've only so much money. You know, every year that I can remember Jeff Driver being in any form of administration, he's written to the government and said, look, we need some more money. But what the government do now, you can't go any more like Oliver Twist and say, I want some more. They want to know why you want some more. What is your plan? And that's why Deloitte's have put this plan together. And obviously, when you get people like British Aerospace that are affected, it goes right down the chain, because we've got Rolls-Royce affected at Barnoldswick, we've got their suppliers affected. And so you've got to try and balance this and get, you know, some side, like farming, a lot of farmers diversify now when they go into different things. And so that's how we're proposing to do it. But yeah, it's a big ask, but it's a big county and it's a great place. So let's go for it.
And you mentioned briefly there, Keith, Martin, Lancashire. I think they've done a fantastic job over the past few years in terms of raising the bar, in terms of getting the message out there of what's great about the county. And presumably, you know, some of the ask is to actually ensure that they can continue that work. And also, of course, we've got this capital of culture bid going on as well, haven't we?
We have, yeah, and that's a really exciting thing that's going to happen. I'm full into this, and if there's anything I can do or anywhere I can go to talk about Lancashire and promote it, and I'm sure that we'll get this City of Culture bid. It's a really exciting thing to do, and it will bring, obviously, a lot of things to Preston and to Lancashire. It really will. Obviously, you'll have seen the city change. I joined this administration and got the job as cabinet member for highways. And when I look what's happened in 36 months, which roughly it is, we've been here, and I break it into months. It's remarkable how many things have happened. We've had the city deal, the whole city been transformed. We're talking now with Network Rail because HS2 is coming. The platforms want extending at Preston. That's another big investment. And obviously, anything we can get, and this again is why it's important that we become this combined authority and we get the funding to do this. And if those two things came off at once, a combined authority and Preston with the City of Culture, well, my job will be done Monday. That would be a great achievement in the time I'm here.
Yeah, it'd be fabulous progress to make.
Oh, it would, yeah.
As you say, a relatively short period of time.
That's right.
Again, Keith, you mentioned HS2, and I often say to people when I'm asked about why I see Lancashire as being, I often describe it as the glue that can bring the whole of the Northern Powerhouse together. Now, obviously, I served on the county council for 12 years.
I believe so.
For most of my life. I absolutely love the place. But equally, if you look at the economic geography and you're talking about levelling up as the governments are now, you're talking about bringing that Northern Powerhouse increasingly together as one entity for the biggest strategic projects. Lancashire's got to be at the heart of that, Keith.
Of course it does. And that is what I'm saying while I'm sat here, not in this chair, because obviously this is a chair at home, but, at the county council. And whatever job I'm given to do, I will still fight the corner for Lancashire and bring anything I can here. And there's some exciting things. And, the Transformation of Cities Fund, I was disappointed with that. We got around £40 million. We bid for a lot more than that, but we have been asked to revisit it because with all these things, you've got a short time frame. And, we put in for about £160 million, £170 million. But obviously, we could do with more, and we've been asked to revisit this. And this connects the rural areas, it connects the city, it helps people to get here other than by car, because this is another big thing for me. I would like to see Preston car-free within the next administration, if that was possible. I know there's a lot of things going on, and I know what's happened with this virus hasn't helped at all, and we've taken a big knock. But, we've got to build it back up. But we've got to look at this green agenda. And obviously, in Lancaster and these places, we are moving towards that. And we're doing a lot of green things there. At the end of the day, you'll see these cycle lanes going in. Now, I know people aren't too happy about some of them. But the whole idea was, I got ridiculed the other day because I said in an article, or they translated it, I don't agree with public transport. I didn't say that at all. Public transport plays its part, but just at the minute, the government is saying don't go on it. And they're saying it's not safe to go on, or they were doing, but you can walk or cycle. They don't want the city crammed with cars. So that's why we put the cycle lanes up. And I'll be very honest, some of these will, not the ones we put up around Wintley Square and London Road and these places, but some of them we do shortly. We've been given another £2.5 million towards this. And I said, look, instead of putting temporary ones up, let's put some permanent ones up. Let's redo some like on the Gill Wheel or at the side of the canals where we connect places together and people can walk and cycle into the city. The unfortunate thing, the weather in this country does not lend itself to cycling and walking, but the spring did, and a lot of people did walk around. But to get back to your point in Lancashire and HS2, that's what we drive at all the time, and that's what drives me on. And obviously the city will grow around it. And the more we can get, the more we put in, and the more we ask for, and the more we get from government, and the more of this 10 billion we get that we've asked for, the city will grow. But the City of Culture is an exciting thing to put together, and we have the team to do it at Lancashire. It will be a good bid. Again, this is more you'll know Michael Green, Councillor Green. It's more his bag this, and he's in charge of it. But as deputy leader, you know, I'm expected to know as much of everybody else's portfolio as my own. So as you can see, I have a big desk here full of papers, and I've got into this modern technology, which I never did before, but it's great.
Keith, I was deputy leader. You've got to know more than
Oh,
anyone
well,
else.
fair enough then. I'll keep going. If I need any advice, I'll come and see you. No worries.
It's a big job. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
it's a big job.
it's a big job.
So you've mentioned briefly there, again, Michael Green and his role. And you know, again, one of the things that the county has always been admired for is quite an innovative business support package.
Yes.
We've had Lancashire Enterprises over the years. We've got the Rosebud Fund that still continues.
Yeah.
Of course, for many years now, the County Council has quite literally had stakeholdings almost in businesses across the county because of those investments that it's been able to make.
That's right.
Do you see us having to intervene a bit more over the next 12 months, 2 years, because of the crisis that we're going through at the moment?
Yeah, and this is part of the support package, like I've explained. We've said to government, we need to help business. We need to support them all we can. And obviously it's helped with the furloughing schemes and the different schemes the government has done, but there's only so much money to go around. And like I've said before, obviously we're looking at all the things that we're doing in these enterprise parks. We're looking at how we can support the businesses in, you know, like BA Systems at Samlesbury, how we can support Rolls-Royce, all these big players and small businesses. And there's a lot of shopkeepers, and there's a lot of hairdressers, and there's a lot of people. And without the smaller businesses, the bigger businesses don't survive anywhere. You know, and our business works. You've got to have all types to make it work. And I think that, yeah, we need to invest heavily in these things. And obviously we've invested perhaps over £5 or £6 million this last financial year into the Rosebud schemes, into Michael Green's area. You know, LCDL do a lot of things. You know, they have their own business park, and you know, Amazon have taken a big chunk of that, and we keep on. And we've just got to build Lancashire up. But part of this ask from government is say we need the money to support the businesses, and obviously once we get this funding, and there's hundreds of millions of pounds involved in this, Michael will be able to give it out through Rosebud schemes, through LCDL, through Marketing Lancashire. We'll be able to build this together and help businesses. And what I would say to any business that's struggling, come and talk to us. Please come and talk to us, because, you know, Michael and the team will do all they can to help you.
And I would just mention as well for businesses who are watching this that the Boost initiative is still going.
Yeah.
To be successful, and I would urge anyone who's looking to have a conversation about business support to Boost, because again, some great people. I know Andrew Leaming's still knocking about. He was there since my time.
That's right. He is. Yeah,
must be older than God now, Andrew.
Yeah, he always wears really nice glasses.
And personalities to help from County Hall.
Yeah. And he has a personality that lends itself to it. At the end of the day, you know, I've always envied him his glasses, really. I could never wear glasses. I've tried. I've got some blue ones, but they look right on me. But, you know,
and his beard.
And his beard. But at the end of the day, you know, we have a good team there. We can't do everything. You know, there's only so much money that can go around, and I appreciate that. But we are there to help. And if you're struggling, just you know, make the contact, and Michael and his team and the officers will do the best.
Great. Now, I just wanted to move the conversation on to perhaps broader matters in terms of the geography of Lancashire. It is a diverse place. Its economy more touches many of the sectors that perhaps cities only have to deal with 3, 4 or 5 of. You know, we've got the whole gamut really in the county.
We have.
But I think one of the things that we felt we perhaps do struggle a little with is not having a hub, not having a Liverpool or a Manchester.
Okay.
And referred on a couple of occasions during the conversation this afternoon, and I've been pleased to hear it, by the way, to Preston as a city, because again, I think sometimes that's forgotten.
Well,
and it's been a city now for a good number of years.
Yeah, and I do refer
to accept its place as a city and make it the hub of Lancashire.
Yeah, and that's what the City of Culture is all about. And I refer to it as the city all the time. You know, I will say I'm going down into the city to get something to eat, and people look at me and they say, "Are you going into town?" I said, "No, I'm going into the city," because it is a great city and it's evolving at a rapid pace. And at the end of the day, yeah, this should be the city. To me, Preston is the centre of the universe because, like I've said, it's Lancashire, and it's where I come from. It's where I belong. And it's what I'm all about. And it is evolving in the right direction. And again, this asks to government for the money that we've asked for through Deloitte and through our team there. You know, this is to put it on the map. We need to just do a lot more in Preston. There are things going ahead. There is a lot of things happening. There's a lot of talks going on how it can be developed. And I'm full into that. And obviously, if we can get the platform start to be extending and we can do some more development in the city, we've very luckily now got the money to join the university to the railway station. Obviously, that scheme would stop short because that's the next bit to do. And it's all being joined up. And, you know, at the end of the day, we've got to attract people there. And the only way people will come to the city of Preston, if we call it the city of Preston, we promote it and we tell them what a great place it is. And from there, you can either go and sit by the sea, you can go into the Trough of Bolton and watch some sheep graze and see a few pheasants running around. You can go and visit a farm. You know, you can come and enjoy a night out in the city and have a good time. And it's got good transport links. And the road network is second to none. But I would say that, wouldn't I?
And you're going to make it even better over the next.
Well, yeah, you know, and to be fair, we've put a lot of bids in, and the team have since we started. We had the MPIF money, the infrastructure funding. You know, since I've been there, we've opened the Broughton bypass. We had a lot of struggling with that. I remember being there on the day in the pouring rain when the last pile was going in at Brooklands Brook, and had that pile not bitten, that would have been the end of it because we wouldn't been able to build the bridge, but it did bite. There was a lot of trouble over that. It cost us a lot more money than it should have done. But at the end of the day, I was the guy there in charge. It's no use blaming anybody else when it's going wrong. You're the guy on the scene then. So you take it on the chin. And all I asked them to do, I said, just to sweeten it up, could you make sure you open it before Christmas rather than after, which they did. And that's all I could ask of them. Then with the Broughton bypass, and what I would say about that, that's our own crew that did that. You know, they came with the proposal and they said, look, we can build this. They tendered for it. And they got the job and they're making an outstanding job of it. The same team then went on, instead of doing the rest of it, because it came to a stop then, because, you know, we've been taken over by the virus, went to, unfortunately, to set the morgue up at Wharton. But at the end of the day, that's how diverse a team they are. Then they will take any job on. And I'll be honest, I'll back my team against any team in the country. They're a good highways team. And as far as the infrastructure goes, I'm pleased that over the time I've been there, we've put quite a lot more money into it. We put 20 million into it over the years. It's been 5 million a year. And the government have matched that and given us more besides in different schemes. The Transformation of Cities Fund, that's 40 million. We got the MPIF money, which the last bit of that, which was about 7.5 to 10 million, which is going towards the M55 link road. And we've had all sorts of other schemes in and around that the government have supported us with. And we're very good at asking, and we've a very good team that can put it together and ask for the money. So we've had quite a lot of money towards highways. I know it's not perfect. It's a long way from perfect. And we've had some bad winters. And when I first got the job, everything had gone all right because there'd been no winter frost or storms. And the first winter I got the job, all the highways fell apart. And I was known as Keith Pothole Iddon or Keith who ruins the road Iddon or whatever. But at the end of the day, I can take all that. But we had to start and rebuild it. We weren't in a good position because, you know, I treated as a business Lancashire County Council. It was just going into receivership. I've done a lot of that in my time, and we had to bring it out of receivership, which we did. And it was a good effort. And again, we got on with the roads. But to be fair to the government, you know, they have given us money. People criticise and say they don't give us anything. They'll give it to you if you've got a good scheme, you know what you're talking about. You can put it all down on paper, make a real good business case for it, and the government give us the money. And if you've just seen, they've just given us, 534 million quid to electrify the lines going from Manchester. I'm a bit disappointed with that. It would have been better coming to do something at Preston or wherever, but at least it's a start. And they're doing what they says on the tin. We're supporting the North. And, you know, like I know Andy Byrne, like I've said, I've had conversations with him. And to be fair to him, he came on the television and said, well, I'll hold my hand up. They've done what they said they'd do. and he's got the money. The last part of that phrase was, but I did ask him for it, so that's fair enough. But that's politics, you know, that's the way it is. But yeah, I do refer to it as the city, and I am excited about the way it's gone. And I think in the time I've been there, it's been an exciting time to be there. I get on very well with the opposition members. I get on with John Phillis, Azar Ali, the whole team of them. You know, I'll walk past their office when they're having a meeting and say, do you want any advice? Is there anything I can help you with? And we have, and that's the way it should be. When we get in the chamber, we'll argue about politics all day long. Out of that, you've just got to get on with the job, and that's the way I treat it. There's places to do all these things. The chamber's the place to do that, as you well know. After that, let's get on with it. Let's try and get together and get things moving along. And at the minute, yeah, that's happening.
I'm sure it would surprise some people to see how cooperative and collaborative different party groups are actually behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, you know,
little stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it can get a bit heated in the chamber, and there are arguments. And politically, you know, people have always said to me, you're okay, Keith, but you better be a bit more political. I said, well, I can be. In the chamber, I will be. But on a programme like this, it's a business to me. We're running a business called Lancashire County Council, and I am doing the best for the customers. And the customers are the residents of Lancashire, the businesses, and all the people that depend on us. And you're elected to do it. And to me, you know, I've been all over and I talk to people and they say, what's your biggest achievement? I said, getting elected to Lancashire County Council. I've done a lot of things in my life, as I've said at the beginning, and I've had a lot of great experiences and I've learned a lot. But it was great that my own area, the people that knew me said, yeah, you'll do for us, we'll elect you and you can stand up for us. And that's what it's all about. And you've just got to stand up and stand your ground for everybody in Lancashire and the businesses and the people that depend on it.
I think you've also hit the nail on the head when you're talking about government funding for the future, of having to put together very evidence-based cases.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, again, I'd have to say, and I know he's on the call, I'm not saying this because he's watching.
Oh, yeah, he's a great man.
Stephen Young is, as I think, part of that team with Jeff, yourself, Rachel at Marketing Lancashire. And I've noted, certainly over the past 4 or 5 years, Keith, I think a significant improvement in terms of the way we've been able to put those strategies together and present the case to the government to get that additional funding. Again, I think bringing in Deloitte was a smart move because those guys work with government officials every day of the week and are probably used to the narrative and the language that's required. So let's keep our fingers crossed. And if we can get that money, you'd be confident that we could deliver what we've said we can deliver.
Yeah, I am. If we could get £10 billion, that would be absolutely fantastic. Now, you know, I'm a realist, but we've aimed high. If we got half of that, we could deliver a lot. And, you know, Stephen came along, you know, we had to reorganise things. It was a business. It had gone under or nearly gone under. And the whole management team was changed. We had to turn things around. I was part of the team, but to be fair to Jeff, you know, the leader, he's good at doing that. And he took it on the chin and he had a lot of criticism. He took a lot of flack, but he saw it through and he knew what he needed to do. And he talked to us about it as a cabinet and we discussed it and it was quite open. And he takes the views and it's very good that he'll ring me every evening and say, what do you think about this? And if I say, no, I want to do that, it's okay, tell me why. And it's okay, well, we won't do it then. And he's very open that way, but he's a good officer. And when you talk about Stephen, he did take a bit of kicking into shape and I was giving him to kick into shape, but he did take a bit kicking into shape. And I will share something with you. When he came for the interview, I said to Jeff, I don't want him, I said, you know, I'll stick with the guy that we've already got. And Jeff said, look, just this guy's all right, because I was in the interview panel. And I often laugh with Stephen about this, and I know perhaps he's on the call. And I said, I didn't vote for you initially. And when he first came in, we had this meeting, and the deputy leader was then Albert Atkinson. Albert said, have you seen this new fella? And I said, yeah, he's been to see him. Well, he's not been to see me. So I said, hey, Stephen, if I were you, I'd just bump down the corridor and have a word with the deputy leader. So we have a laugh about this all the time, and he'll be laughing now. But, you know, if you can't get on with people in business, you know, your team, you get on with the team. And if he asks me for anything, he knows, you know, I'll be there. And you know, it's like coming on this programme. You'd ask me, I talked to Stephen about it, he said it's a great thing to do. People are interested in your view because you're elected and you're up there and you're sort of in control of it. But yeah, he's brought a new dimension to the county council. There's no doubt about that.
I'm going to get into the questions that
All right.
asked, and Stephen's put a couple in actually, so he'll get his own back in a second. But one final thing from me, Keith. You've mentioned the bid's gone in. We're well aware that the UK PLC is facing the biggest challenge it's had since the war. If you had the ear of Rishi Sunak, aside from saying give us the 10 billion for Lancashire, what are the sort of things you think he needs to be focusing on in his budget come October?
The biggest thing he needs to be focusing on is young people. I'm a great advocate of young people. We need to be focusing on apprenticeships and getting them into work. We need to be focusing on small businesses and getting them the support they need, because a lot of them are really struggling, and it's a big knockback to them, and a lot of businesses open but they're not getting the people there that they'd like to have. We'd also say to him, if you look at the bigger picture of business, help us, give us the funding to go into businesses through the channels we have, through Martel's channels, through the schemes that you've mentioned, Rosebud and Marketing Lancashire, whatever, go direct. But let's help these companies over this hurdle and get them, if the business that they already had has gone for whatever reason, because of world events, let's diversify and get them into other things. I would also ask him to invest a little bit more into this great city of Preston, because it is a big place. We will be the city of culture. I'm a real optimist that, I don't get up every day on a downer. I'm right up there, and people say to me, where would you like to be, Keith, as we go through this? And I'll go as far as I go. If I could get to be the mayor like Andy Burnham, that would be absolutely fantastic. But time will tell. But at the end of the day, that's what I'd be asking him to do. Just look a little bit more at Lancashire. You're doing a good job, but we need the investment in the infrastructure. We need connectivity to Leeds and these areas. That is going ahead, Frank. That is something that's going on. The big debate is how much of the national park going through Yorkshire do you tunnel, how much do you leave a road on? And as the figures add up, the tunnel gets shorter. It's as simple as that, because tunnels are hard to build. But that's what I'd be asking him to do. It's a big ask, and he's done a lot already. If you look, I'll not go through all the figures with you. If you look what the government have done already, we don't want any more of this negative stuff. We don't want to go back where people have no money to spend. And I think the government, we don't want to get any form of big, deep sort of fiscal place where we can't afford to do things, and we've got to boom it on. But I would ask him to look closely at us, because we have a lot to offer. And from here, we have a farming community as well. We're coming out of the EU, and there's a lot of farmers that are worried about it. They don't know how things are going. I would also ask him to look at that a bit more closely, because Lancashire is a very rural area. So those are the areas. Obviously, the infrastructure, looking at the city of Preston, putting us on the map. Obviously we've got the Iddon projects and things like that, which are going ahead, but just look to us a little bit more closely, and especially our young apprentices. And the other thing I'd ask him to look at, and it did come up the other day at Chorley, and I was pleased to see it, and I will name it by name, a very young councillor, Councillor Sharples, put in a proposition that Chorley Council had a champion for young people with mental health issues. That is a big thing. And she explained how she'd suffered with anxiety and depression and things. And we need to help these people. And that's another area where we need to help. And this, what's happened, people being locked down, it has not helped. That is not helped young people. And I also like to see young people come into the council. We have a lot of young members. There was a great debate the other day, and I'm just going off what we were talking about not having an allowance, that councillors shouldn't have an allowance. We shouldn't get any allowance for doing it or whatever. And I got up and said, there's a lot of young people here now, and I'm pleased to see them with perhaps 10 younger people that have professional jobs, and they're giving the time up to come to the county council because they want a better Lancashire, they want a better Preston, they want a better economy, all the things that I want. And it's great to see them. It's great to see them putting things like that in. But going back to what you said, that's what I'll be asking him to do. Just look a little bit closer at us. Farming, infrastructure, business. We need to diversify. We need to help everybody along, especially businesses and the smaller ones as well. And I'm sure he will. But I can't knock anything that they have done in the last budget, really.
Thanks, Keith. And as somebody knows who doesn't have to declare an interest in such matters, I can say that I don't think leading councillors or indeed our members of Parliament are paid enough, but that's a debate for another day.
Okay.
Right, we've got a couple of questions. There's a
All right.
from Peter Moss. Peter is asking how many of the county's MPs, are you aware, are on board with the unitary proposals that have been put forward?
None as I know of to date. Yeah, I can be honest about that. Obviously, nobody's contacted me. They do understand something has to happen, but obviously the proposal today, no MP has contacted me. Obviously, Nigel Evans has made his views known. He would like Ribble Valley to stay as it is. They would just like to stay as they are and take the money from the government and be their own little unitary. I think that's what he's saying. I know my good friend Lindsay Oil, who I know very well, he can't get involved in politics, but they've put one together where it's Preston, Cllr, South Ribble, I think, and there's another one. Is it West Lancs? They've put something together, and that's fine. You can cherry pick all day long, but at the end of the day, the government is saying it's either all or nothing. You can't just take a little section and say, okay, we'll have that as unitary and you'll get some more money. That's not what it's about. So no MP has contacted me as yet. They've all had the discussions, but we've already got a unitary in Blackpool, that authority, and we've got one in Blackburn and Darwin. So at the end of the day, we're part way there anyway. And I think the way it's been split up, and I'm sure they'll all have the say about this, and they will lobby to what they want. At the end of the day, the government has asked us to put this proposal in. What they've said to us, we want unitary, we want a mayor, and we will have no more than 3 because we won't have any more than 3 directors of education in that model. And we put forward as a group, as the administration, and it's just not been done last night, this, or whenever it came. It's been going on for a long, long while. There's been great debate about it. The best model we could put forward, which includes around and about 500,000 people in each one. One's a bit less, some are a bit more, but it's around about a decent size. If you take Cumbria, like I've said, that's 500,000 people. That's just one of our unitaries, and it's right and proper there goes a whole. I fully agree with that.
Great. Thanks, Keith. Listen, the MPs are not backward in coming forward in Lancashire, I'm
Oh,
sure.
no, they'll soon tell me what they think, or they'll be telling Jeff what they think.
Okay. Now, a couple of questions from Stephen here. I'm sure you'll appreciate the second one in particular.
Right.
I'm not sure whether you'll appreciate the first one, but you'll give it a go.
Okay.
With the plans announced yesterday for 3 unitary councils and the potential for a combined authority in the future, how do you see organisations like the Local Enterprise Partnership fitting into the new landscape? Good question, because we're trying to streamline. Then obviously you would anticipate the government are going to look at the whole of the governance structure.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the LEP plays its part. Like I've said to you before, what we're trying to do, I think, is a good thing. As far as they go, they're not elected in anywhere. And this is the big thing. Making decisions, it has to stop with the elected members. And if you move away from that, you might as well tear the whole democracy of the country up. They're there to serve a purpose. The government give them funds, like they've managed, obviously, a lot of schemes for us, and the biggest one was the city deal. That was a lot of money, nearly £500 million, and we're asking for another 50 million. And the business people that sit on the boards there, and they do their bit. I would think that going forward, the mayor would take over that responsibility, and because the government are obviously saying we only want one person answerable. We want to come to Frank McKenna and say to him, right, Frank, what are you doing? We need to do X, Y, and Z. They don't want to debate with a lot of people. They want one port of call, one person answerable. And it's like being a senator in America, isn't it? You just rule the state. So you're in charge of Lancashire. Andy Burnham's in charge of Manchester. Steve Rotherham in charge of Liverpool. And that's the way it works. They will fit in somewhere, but they may be in a little advisory capacity. But you know, you cannot go away from this. As far as I'm concerned, you can't go away from people that are given the mandate by the residents of Lancashire to do the best they can for them. And unfortunately, the LEP has not got that mandate. So I can see them playing a part, but not, you know, I think the mayor would take over most of that setup.
Okay, thanks, Keith. Very honest answer, as all your answers have been, which has been great. I mean, you know, this is why we love these conversations.
Okay.
Because, you know, people come on here, and I think we do learn about what's happening in the corridors of powers because people like yourself are so open with us. And
Well, it's not cloak and daggers. It's a business to me, and I'm very open with people. And like he says, and what do the MPs think? Well, nobody's talked to me about it yet. I'm sure Lindsay Oil will talk to me about it when he sees me and say, hey, come over here. What are you doing, you lunatic? We can't have this. That's fine. And we'll have a laugh and we'll have a conversation about it. And I know other MPs in Lancashire, and obviously Nigel Evans I know very, very well. And he'll probably say, you can't be doing this. And I'll say, well, okay, not everybody's going to agree with it, but you've got to have the debate. And if you're not opening what you're doing, how can you have a debate? It's as simple as that to me.
Right, listen, this is a great question to end the session on, actually.
Go on,
and again, it's from Stephen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying it's on behalf of Jeff.
Go on.
So Liverpool Football Club had an amazing season to be crowned champions for the first time in 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm trying to forget that as an Evertonian. But
go on, sorry, I didn't get that, Frank. How many years?
yeah. So playing some amazing football, winning every home league game except one. Does Keith have any comments on the performance of the one team they failed to beat, Burnley Football Club?
I do have a comment. I know Mr. Klopp very well, and I said, look, the leader of the council and the executive director that looks after me are very keen Burnley supporters. Will you see what you can do? And he said, yeah, of course I will. So we would have won, definitely. How's that?
You gave them a point. That's it.
I gave them a point, yeah. Well, we had to give them something, because he scowls at me every time he sees me, yeah. So I've got, easy on, Stephen. I've got the great man here, and it's all signed for me there. There he is. There's the great man. So, you have a look at him.
I think that's a great note to end the conversation on.
Okay.
You have to say that when Stephen and I had a chat on a Zoom call recently, he did offer Sean Dyche as a potential mayor for Lancashire.
Did he?
So,
yeah, well, it's fair enough, isn't it?
That may be your competition, Keith.
Don't worry. I'm always open to competition at the end of the day. But, yeah, we'll just see how it all pans out. I'm getting on in years. You'll not believe I'm a 52 model. I remember going out with horses on the farm. I'm really getting on at this moment in time. But thank you for everybody that's come on anyway and listened. And thank you for having me. And I hope I've just enlightened everything in my own way. I'm not a complicated man. I have facts and figures, but people get baffled with those. You just got them straight how it is. This is how it's going.
No, it's been great to see you, Keith.
And you. I hope we meet up in person soon. They're going to let me out on the 1st of August. My letter, because I have a lung condition, it goes to the 1st of August and I can escape then.
Fantastic. Well, it'd be great to get you to a live event at some point.
Anytime you want me.
Great stuff.
Thank you to everybody for having me.
Yeah, and certainly, as you say, thanks for everyone for joining us today. And hopefully we'll see you all again very soon. Cheers.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith.